Naruto Nine-Tailed Sky Fox. Chapter 46. Poof. Tall blood flowers bloomed in the sky. In just one breath, the bodies of the two cloud ninjas were penetrated by a white furry thing. They fell down without even a trace of resistance. What's going on? However, after the two Kumo ninja fell, Sasuke and Neji finally discovered Naruto's figure. I saw that Naruto was still in a human body at this time, but not all, because behind him, 9 huge white tails were waving. Each tail is about 3 meters long, even in thickness, and wrapped in a faint moonlight. It should be an extremely enchanting scene, but it exudes a fatal charm, which makes Sasuke and Neji stunned. 2 of the tails were even 5 meters long, inserted into the bodies of the two cloud ninjas respectively. I never expected that these tails that looked so soft could be so sharp. You know, one of the Kumo ninja Kurano Taku, whose whole body was covered with thunder armor, had extremely amazing defensive power, was actually pierced by a fluffy tail, which made Neji feel like a dream, so unreal. After a while, Sasuke finally came back to his senses, looked at the silent cloud ninja on the ground, and then at Naruto's gorgeous 9 tails. He didn't know what to say for a moment. When Naruto instantly killed the Jonin, Sasuke didn't think there was anything surprising. After all, he didn't know the opponent's strength at that time. However, after fighting for so long, Sasuke has completely understood the terror of his enemy, but now it seems that Naruto is the most terrifying person. That's why Sasuke was so shocked after seeing Naruto kill 2 more Jonin instantly. You know, if it takes another second, their heads may be in different places. Neji also refreshed his assessment of Naruto's strength at this time. No wonder Tenten said he would be stronger than her. It was really not an exaggeration at all. I really don't know why Naruto is called a loser in the ninja school. Neji really wants to complain about the idiot teachers in the school. Are they all blind? Not only did he kill 1 Junin instantly before, but now he kills 2 Junin instantly at the same time. With such abnormal strength, he is actually an idiot. Then who am I, the chief student of the previous term? I'm under so much pressure. Fortunately, Xiaoli fainted a long time ago, so he didn't see the shocking scene just now. After all, the load of opening the 5th door was too great. It is estimated that Xiaoli will need to recuperate for at least 2 weeks now. Naruto sensed that the 2 Kumo ninjas were no longer alive, so he quickly put away his tail and returned to his normal body. He ignored the shocked eyes of Sasuke and Neji, and quickly ran towards the person who fell to the ground not far away, day by day. In fact, when Naruto completed the advancement, he discovered Tenten's figure lying on the ground. However, due to the advancement, Naruto's mental power had been fully restored, so with a glance of his consciousness, he discovered that Tenten was just tired. Just fell asleep. But even so, it made Naruto furious. In addition, seeing Sasuke and Neji being so humiliated made Naruto directly transform into his own body. But, Naruto immediately discovered that no matter how hard he tried, he could only transform into 9 tails. The other parts of his body were still human and had not changed at all. However, at this time, Sasuke and Neji were in critical condition. Without thinking carefully, he immediately locked onto the 2 cloud ninjas, and their figures disappeared immediately. Its speed is so fast that there is no afterimage. Yes, there is not a trace of afterimage. This is completely illogical. Actually, this is not because Naruto is fast, but because of the new skills that Naruto can use after breaking through the golden core. Teleport. That's right. It's teleportation. Teleportation is a technique that can only be used by all cultivators in the nascent soul stage. But Naruto, as the 9-tailed sky fox, can use it in the golden core stage. This is another compensation given by heaven to the 9-tailed sky fox. After all, the attack and defense capabilities of the 9-tailed sky fox in the early stage are too weak compared to other super beasts, so they must have some self-protection capabilities. Therefore, among all races, only the 9-tailed sky fox has the ability to protect itself. The tailed fox is the only race that can use teleportation at the golden core stage. However, even so, Naruto can only teleport twice a day, and the range is only within 1000 meters. After all, this is heaven. The 9-tailed sky fox clan is given a life-saving skill, not for fighting. You must know that the way of heaven is relatively fair, and it is not good to destroy the balance of the race. And the teleportation of 1000 meters is also very powerful. After all, in the world of Naruto, there were very few people who knew how to use space-time ninjutsu. Therefore, Naruto appeared behind the two cloud ninjas in almost zero point 0.1 seconds and instantly commanded two of his tails to penetrate their bodies without giving them any reaction time. You must know that Naruto's 9 tails are the body of the super beast. The bodies of all demon cultivators are extremely powerful. Just like the light curtain formed by Naruto's 9 tails in the previous life can block the sixth thunder. It is enough to prove that the power of Naruto's tail is not trivial, and it is just a trivial thing to penetrate the bodies of two people. At this time, Naruto had already rushed to Tiantian's side, carefully held Tiantian in his arms, and continued to send his true energy to restore her. Then he said calmly to Sasuke and Neji, "You two, please carry Shaoli to Sakura for treatment first. Sakura has been in the medical class for a long time. It is always good to let her see the defense that Tiantian just cast. The barrier may have melted long ago due to the loss of her support, so you'd better go there and take a look." Yes. When Sasuke and Neji heard what Naruto said, they immediately carried Shaoli on their backs and headed to where Sakura and the others were just now. Both of them were very sensible and did not ask questions about Naruto's tail, because they both knew that this should be a secret that belongs to Naruto, and since it was Naruto who saved them, they can still tell which one is more important. On this side, Naruto lowered his head after giving them instructions and continued to deliver true energy to heal Tenten's injuries. So not long after Sasuke and Neji left, Tenten finally woke up. The first moment she opened her eyes, she saw Naruto's smile, which made her wonder if this was a dream. After all, Naruto was very weak just now, his face was pale, and he could hardly stand. How could he recover so quickly? However, she was very weak at this time and had difficulty speaking, so she did not speak. When Naruto saw Tiantian waking up, he first gave him a big smile, and then asked gently, "Tiantian, are you feeling better now? If you feel better, let's go find Kakashi and the others, right?" Tiantian remained the same. He didn't speak, just shook his head slowly and closed his eyes. Well, it seems I'd better take a break. At this time, Kakashi and Akai were also engaged in a bitter battle. Originally, before the two Yukijins didn't transform into tailed beasts, Kakashi and the others' battles had always been quite easy. After all, they were equally powerful as the two Yukijins. 2 against 1, of course they could easily be crushed. The two Yuki people originally thought that their opponent was just Kakashi, so they had no plans to transform in a hurry. But to her surprise, the enemy actually had a watermelon-headed Akai. Moreover, Akai's speed was extremely fast, which always overwhelmed her, and she had to fend off Kakashi's ninjutsu harassment from time to time. This caused the two Yukido to be passive all the time. Although they were not defeated, they were unable to fight back. It made her feel very frustrated. Immediately, the two Yumu people quickly dodged Akai's spin kick and immediately flew to a tree not far away. They frowned and looked at Kakashi and the others in confusion and asked, "Hello. Are you two so worried about those little brats? According to my observation, the yellow-haired boy should have no fighting ability now. There are only 3 hairy boys and 2 girls left. Do you think they can defeat my men? You know, what I brought this time are all the elite combat forces of our village. They have been Junin for a long time and have rich experience. There is even an elite Junin whose strength is comparable to mine." Kakashi frowned when he heard this, but did not reply. In fact, he was also a little uneasy at the moment, because after yesterday's battle, Neji and Shaoli were at the level of Chunin. Even if they had nothing at best, he can be considered an elite Chunin. Among them, Sasuke may be the only one who can barely compete with the Junin, and since Tenten did not participate in the competition, Kakashi does not know her specific strength. So although Kakashi seemed calm at this time, he was also extremely worried, but he couldn't lose his momentum, so he could only stare coldly into the eyes of the two Yukido and pretend to be cool, but Akai was obviously more convinced. My students, especially Tiantian's strength, stood up immediately, without any worry at all, and said in a deep voice, "I believe that my students are not vegetarians. You don't need to worry about this, and you can see now. Come on, you should worry more about yourself. Quote. Since Kakashi hadn't come yet to tell Akai the true identities of the two Yumu people, Akai was very confident at this time and didn't think that under the double siege of him and Kakashi, the two Yumu people can still stand up. Snort. How about we make a bet? If your students are safe and sound, I will be willing to retreat. But if my men defeat your students, you will be captured without mercy. How about it? The two Yumu people looked into Akai's eyes and said coldly. Although the two Yumu people are not afraid of Kakashi and Akai, with the abilities of Kakashi and Akai, it is absolutely impossible to deal with them. It's easy. If they tried their best to escape, she probably wouldn't be able to stop them, so she might as well make a bet. Huh, I wonder if you made a mistake. Based on the current situation, it is obvious that we have the upper hand, okay. Why do I want to participate in this boring gamble with you? Do you think you can escape unscathed now? You think too much. Good. We promise you, it's decided. Before Akai finished speaking, Kakashi immediately interrupted Akai and decisively agreed to the bet that the two Yuki people had just made. Kakashi, what are you doing? Akai was very surprised and puzzled at this time. Why did Kakashi suddenly become so timid? They had obviously always had the upper hand, so why were they afraid of her? But soon, Akai knew the reason for Kakashi, because, just as he finished speaking, the two Yumu people's bodies grew rapidly, and black and blue monster flames continued to appear all over their bodies. Suddenly, roar! A huge beast roared across the sky. In just an instant, the body of the two Yumu people has completely transformed into a huge demon fire cat beast, with two long black and blue tails dancing wildly in the air. The eyes of the two Yumu people were flashing with faint fire at this time, staring at Akai coldly, and said in a deep voice, "Now, do you agree to my bet?" Same, agreed. Akai swallowed, sweating almost dripping, and his expression was extremely unnatural. Kakashi. Why didn't you tell me earlier that she turned out to be the second-tailed Jinchuriki? Hakugaru. Snort. So before their battle ends, let's have some fun. In an instant, I saw the two Yumu people's two huge tails swinging towards them at an incredible speed and power. Boom, boom, boom. Although Kakashi and Akai avoided it in time, a large towering tree behind them was cut off by her tail. Not only that, the flames at the cut were not extinguished yet, and soon, the large area of trees, flowers and plants were all reduced to ashes, which shows how terrifying the power of the flames is. Hateful. The goal is too big. And I don't know what kind of flames are wrapped all over her body. It actually makes me feel dizzy when I get close. You can't get close at all. Kakashi, do you have any ideas? Akai looked at the huge bodies of the two Yumu people and asked Kakashi anxiously. I don't have any good ideas. The only way now is to delay until Naruto and the others have dealt with the other three Kumo ninjas and let her retreat by herself. Otherwise, with the two tails' physical strength, we can't afford to defeat them at all. Her chances are slim. Kakashi analyzed it calmly and responded in a deep voice. Call. But if we continue to waste time like this, we may not be able to delay Naruto and the others from coming over. Kakashi, do you have any large combat psychic beasts? At this time, Akai kept avoiding the tails and claws of the two Yuki people, and asked Kakashi breathlessly again. No, my ninja dogs are all tracking types, and their size is completely incomparable with the two tails. Kakashi replied with a bitter smile. Alas. Although I have a large psychic beast, it has no attack power at all. Yes. Our main task now is to delay time. Kakashi, I have an idea, please hold on for a while, my psychic technique will take a while to prepare. After that, Akai ignored Kakashi and jumped away to hide. Although Kakashi didn't know what psychic beast Akai wanted to summon, but as his partner for so many years, Kakashi still believed in Akai. Immediately, Kakashi no longer dodges, but seizes the gap between the two tails' attacks and quickly forms a seal. Water escape. Great waterfall technique. However, since we are in the forest at this time, there is not much water source, and the surrounding trees, flowers and plants are almost burned out, so the range of Kakashi's great waterfall technique is not very large, and it can only be regarded as a small waterfall. Kakashi also knew that this technique was not very powerful here, but he was just delaying it for a while, and then quickly formed the seal again. Earth release, earth flow river. In an instant, the large area of land where the two Yumu people were located immediately turned into a sticky liquid, and huge waves actually rolled up, constantly washing away Erway's huge body. Coupled with the assistance of the Great Waterfall technique, the two Yumu people were the first Yuki was unable to move for a while. Originally, Kakashi was planning to use fire escape to attack together, but thinking of the flames surrounding the two Yuki, he thought it would be better not to waste chakra. However, because the body of the two tails was too huge, Kakashi only supported it for a while and then died. After all, these two ninjutsu are fine for ordinary people, but for the huge two tails, they are not. It cannot cause any substantial harm. However, Kakashi's move succeeded in angering the two Yuki people. Because those two ninjutsu just made her covered in mud, dirty and diarrhea. Although she is now a ferocious two-tailed body, she is still a girl at heart. I believe no girl can bear to be covered in mud. So the two Yuki people were about to explode. You actually made me so embarrassed. Kakashi. Just wait for me. Anawomaru. Boom. In an instant, countless black and blue fireballs spit out from her mouth, like machine guns, shooting at Kakashi quickly. For a moment, Kakashi could hardly be seen clearly, only blue fireballs could be seen in the sky. Boom. 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 Huge explosions resounded across the sky, smoke billowed, and roars continued. There were black and blue sparks everywhere, as if the whole world was black and blue. It showed how tragic the battle was. However, when the two Yumu people after she stopped casting the Onishi pill, she found no trace of Kakashi, which made her extremely annoyed. She still underestimated Kakashi too much. He was indeed an elite jonin who had been famous in the ninja world for a long time. He was as slippery as a loach. In her current perfect state, she could not kill him for so long. It was a great shame and humiliation. If word spreads, how can she still hang out in Yun Ninja Village? Hateful. And our main protagonist Kakashi is currently hiding in a crack in the soil 20 meters underground, fearing his chest, and obviously still having lingering fears. You must know that the range of the move just now is really terrifying, and the speed is extremely fast. If it were an ordinary person, it would have been burned to ashes. But Kakashi is not an ordinary person. He is a legend in the ninja world who has copied thousands of ninjutsu, and he also has a calm mind. Although he seems lazy at ordinary times, he is absolutely very reliable at critical moments. So when he just faced the world-destroying Anawomaru, Kakashi had never felt so calm. After all, he was between life and death, so he immediately came up with a countermeasure in just 1 second. But the dive was too low and the air content was very low, so Kakashi felt a little uncomfortable. What the hell is that guy Akai doing? Why hasn't it healed in so long? If it gets worse, I won't be able to hold on anymore. Kakashi kept complaining in his heart and did not dare to speak out. However, Kakashi too underestimated the IQ of the two Yuki people. Since he could think of hiding underground in an instant, then the two Yuki people were, so it took a long time to react. Sure enough. Within a moment, Kakashi felt a strong vibration in the surrounding soil. Boom. 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 Not good. She found out. Kakashi cursed secretly, and immediately used earth escape again to return to the land, but Kakashi seemed to have forgotten that the surrounding area had long been burned bare by the flames of the two Yumoku people, and there was absolutely nowhere to hide. Therefore, the moment Kakashi appeared, the black and blue tail of the second tail was already waiting for him. With a beautiful tail flick, Kakashi's body flew out. Boom. However, Kakashi, who was thrown away, turned into a piece of wood in the air. It was obvious that he used the substitute technique the moment he emerged from the ground. Suddenly, just when he successfully dodged the violent blow with the substitute technique, the next sharp claws of the two Yukido followed closely behind him. The huge black flame claws were extremely sharp and gave Kakashi no chance to breathe at all. Time. Kakashi was extremely tired at this time. Although he relied on the Sharingan's attack trajectory to dodge and advance, the physical exertion was also very serious. Coupled with the load the Sharingan put on his body, it would probably take a while for Kakashi to be able to support himself. Can't stand anymore, fortunately. At this time, Akai's voice finally came from behind Kakashi. Alright, Kakashi. Come here quickly. Kakashi had never thought that Akai's rough voice was so beautiful at this moment. It really cheered him up. All the fatigue in his body disappeared. But when he turned around, his head was covered with black lines. At some point, a huge green turtle was standing not far behind him. Judging from its size, it was no match for the two tails, and Akai was waving at him from the turtle's mouth. Note: I imagined this through the turtle psychic beast Akai in the original work. It is purely for fun. Don't take it too seriously, and it will not appear again in the future. Kakashi is speechless. What a big turtle. But is this a good idea that Akai came up with? Is it to make us shrink from the turtles? Help us. He raised his hand helplessly to hold his forehead. Countless grass and mud horses roared past in Kakashi's heart. In the end, he could only silently say, Akai, you win. There is no way, the situation is too critical at this time, and there is not much we can do about it. Life is more important than face. So as soon as Kakashi's figure flashed, he quickly ran towards Akai's direction. When Kakashi and Akai met, the huge green turtle immediately closed its mouth, and in the next second, retracted all its heads and hands into the turtle shell. Only a round turtle shell is left. Two Yumu people. Is it so funny that you actually hid like a tortoise? If word gets out, where will you put your face, Kakashi? However, the two Yumu people did not take this broken turtle seriously, because she believed that nothing could resist her hellfire. Immediately, the two Yumu people spit out countless black and blue flames from their mouths, wrapping the huge turtle shell in all directions, but the next scene made the two Yumu people open their mouths wide. I saw that the huge turtle shell was completely motionless and showed no reaction at all when surrounded by her hellfire. She was still lying there unscathed, as if laughing at her incompetence. This made the two Yumu people completely unable to bear it. They hit the black flame claw again and scratched the turtle shell very quickly, but it still had no effect. This made the two Yumu people very irritable. What a stupid turtle, it's so hard. The two Yumu people roared angrily and kept using their claws, patting the turtle's shell, but still with little effect. In fact, this turtle is one of the oldest elders in the Akai psychic beast Black Turtle clan. Legend has it that he is a descendant of the mythical beast Genbu, but his bloodline is very thin, but despite this, his defensive ability is extremely amazing, not inferior to Orochimaru's triple Rashomon. Therefore, even if the two Yumu people used tailed beast Jade, the turtle shell would be able to withstand it. At the same time, Kakashi and Akai, who were hiding in the turtle shell, started chatting leisurely, discussing when Naruto and the others would arrive. But right away, they can no longer relax. The two Yumu people had been bending on the turtle shell for nearly 5 minutes, using various methods. Finally, they found that this turtle shell was really not something she could break, so they gave up the plan of continuing to do useless work. However, after a while, the faint eyes of the two Yumu people flashed, and the huge cat mouth was slightly raised, obviously thinking of some good countermeasures. Since you are so cowardly, let me give you a taste of the dizzying feeling. Ha ha. I saw the two Yukito immediately used her claws to cooperate with her two huge tails, lifted the entire turtle high, and threw it hard into the sky. In an instant, Kakashi who stayed in the turtle's body Akai immediately staggered around, feeling dizzy. The gravity rose and fell, and soon everything turned into mosquito-repellent incense. Akai, your method is really good. Yes. Good. Ah. Kakashi regretted that his intestines were turning green at this time. Now he would rather go out and fight the two Yukijins for 300 rounds than stay in a turtle shell and suffer this, and he would vomit out his breakfast. And he also such a coward. Kakashi, don't complain. There are so many, at least we are, still, quite safe, right? After a while, Akai's intermittent voice came over, and it was obvious that he had already fainted. In a huge open space, a huge black and blue cat demon is playfully playing with a round object. If they were all reduced 100 times in size, the scene might be very cute. But reality is cruel, this kind of scary scene is really not cute at all. Therefore, everyone had black lines on their heads and no one spoke. After all, they didn't even see the shadows of Kakashi and Akai. Immediately, Naruto swept his consciousness and discovered that the two idiots Kakashi and Akai were indeed staying in the turtle shell being played with by the two tails. Could they be a funny duo? I am also drunk, not good. Thanks to the two of them for coming up with such a method, it's really too bad. Have Progress. Although he thought so, when Naruto saw the turtle shell that had been ravaged by the two tails for a long time, he finally couldn't bear it and immediately shouted in the direction of the two Yukitos. Hey! Kakashi, are you okay? When the two Yuki people who were playing at this time heard Naruto's familiar voice, they thought it was a hallucination and didn't care. They were still playing happily because she didn't believe that the three Junin could solve it. Just a few idiots. Naruto. Is my sense of existence so low? You actually ignored me, then. I have to give you some color to see. Uh-huh. In the next second, 9 long white tails suddenly shot out from behind Naruto, growing infinitely. So gorgeous. In just one breath, Urwei's huge body was tightly bound. What the hell is this? I'm actually immune to the flames on my body. The two Yukitos' voices were extremely horrified at this time. After all, as a two-tailed Jinchuriki, no one knows the attack and defense capabilities of her own flames better than her. However, her proud flame coat was completely destroyed. Ignore it. What kind of terrifying power can do this? In fact, for Naruto, who is now at the golden core stage, the flames around the second tail are nothing. You must know that the defensive ability of his body tail is more than one level higher than the strength of her flame coat. It's strange that people can break away. I really can't move at all. Seeing that her struggle was fruitless, she looked around, and then her pupils suddenly shrank. It was actually the boy with yellow hair who started. I didn't expect him to recover so quickly. And he was even stronger. However, this kind of half-animal transformation ability seems to have never been heard of except for Jinchuriki. Could it be that he is also a Jinchuriki? Look at this white tail, is it the five-tailed Penghu? But why is there Kujo? What is going on? After some random thinking, the two Yumu people finally realized that none of these stupid kids were okay. There is no doubt that all her subordinates must have. What a bunch of rubbish. The two Yumu people roared angrily with their huge cat mouths. At the same time, Kakashi and Kai were finally freed from their turtle shells, but looking at their faces, it was clear that they were broken down inside. Kakashi-sensei, your level of unreliability in my mind has once again risen to a whole new level. Naruto looked at the two people with disheveled faces and joked with a smile. Although Sasuke and Sakura were also speechless, they didn't say anything. Neji and Tenten were both taciturn, and they didn't say anything. Fortunately, Xiaoli was still in a coma at this time. He saw that teacher Kai, whom he admired so much, could be so cowardly. He didn't know what he would think. Kakaji was still a little confused at this time. But after hearing Naruto's ridicule, he was completely dissatisfied. Unable to bear it, he immediately pointed at Akai without any image and shouted loudly, Akai. I won't believe you next time. Ha, ha. You only have youth if you survive, hey hey. Teacher Akai was obviously a little embarrassed, but he shamelessly showed his shining white teeth again, gave a thumbs up and smiled. Kakashi. Oh my god, I feel so tired. I already knew that arguing with Kai was just like talking to a duck. I am still so serious. Sigh. Moreover, after the roar just now, Kakashi's head became even more dizzy. He patted his head hard again, and when he woke up, he saw a scene that he would never forget. The legendary extremely powerful tailed beast, the huge two-tailed complete body, was actually completely trapped by countless white furry tails. Can't move. And as he followed the direction of the tail, he discovered that the owner of the tail was actually Naruto. All of this completely broke Kakashi's worldview. How could Naruto have such terrifying power? But, isn't Naruto the nine-tailed Jinchuriki? It should be fiery red, and what's going on with the white tail? Is it mutated? Kakashi thought of a lot of random things in an instant, and finally couldn't help but ask, Naruto, what's your tail? Now, as you can see, the 9 tails are of course the 9 tails, but they are not the 9 tails in my body, but my innate ability. I can't explain it at the moment, so just treat it as the same as the 9 tails. Calm down. Naruto looked into Kakashi's eyes and explained calmly, still so calm and elegant. Anyway, Naruto felt that he had reached the golden core stage now and was no longer afraid of anyone. He had nothing to hide. Kakashi, how can you be so calm? It really hurts my back to stand and talk. Wait. Naruto seems to know about the 9 tails in his body, what should I do? You'd better be less thoughtful. Okay. Kakashi-sensei, how to deal with this Jinchuriki is the most important thing now, right? Naruto looked at Kakashi and was stunned after hearing his explanation again. This made him very helpless, so he had to remind him. Alas, why is Kakashi so stupid? Sure enough, everything in the cartoon is. It's a lie. Ah. Oh. Right. Almost forgot. Kakashi touched his nose and said awkwardly. Finally remembered me. Snort. This time I underestimated your strength, but Kakashi, it's not that easy to keep me. The two Yumu people were still so arrogant and did not think that they were defeated at all. Just as she finished speaking, her mouth opened to an incredible arc, and then countless high-density chakra particles gathered in one click on it, forming an ink-like black ball. Not good. It's tailed beast Jade. Everyone, get out of the way. Kakashi shouted anxiously, but it was too late, the tailed beast Jade has been completed. Boom. A huge mushroom cloud soared into the sky. At this time, all the places around 200 meters were razed to the ground, but in the center, there was a white light flashing. It was Naruto who used his 9 tails to protect everyone at the critical moment. But because of this, the two Yuki people had successfully escaped. After a while, her unwilling voice came from the seemingly distant horizon, mixed with deep anger. Kakashi and that brat. Just wait for me. Our Yunrin village will not give up. After the battle just now, Naruto and his team were on the road again. Although Xiao Li was seriously injured, the mission still had to continue. But on the way afterwards, the minister of the fire country looked at Kakashi and Kai with strange eyes. There was nothing I could do about it, a normal person would think about it when he saw such a funny scene just now. Just complain. Therefore, at this time, in the mind of the minister, he felt that these children were much more reliable. At least so far, he had been unscathed under their protection. Especially Naruto. After blocking the tailed beast Jade that was so terrifying just now, he was still energetic, elegant and calm, without looking tired at all, and he even held Tenten's hand and flirted with her all the way. Therefore, during the rest of the way, on the way, Ogawa Masahito resolutely gave up Akai's protection and insisted on walking with Naruto, completely ignoring Kakashi and Akai. Kakashi and Akai were obviously too embarrassed to say anything more, so they could only cry silently in their hearts. They seemed to have embarrassed the Leaf Village. What should they do? I hope that what happened just now would not spread. In the next half day, everything was so calm, and we didn't even encounter ordinary bandits, let alone ninjas. Therefore, before dark, their group successfully completed the mission and successfully arrived at the Daming's mansion in the Land of Fire. Afterwards, Naruto and the others spent about 3 days recuperating in the Daming mansion. In fact, the main reason is that Xiao Li's injury was too serious and he had to stop to recuperate, and he could not make any more bumps. After all, Xiao Li is not yet an adult, and his bones and muscles are not yet fully developed, so he cannot withstand the huge load caused by opening the 5 doors. However, thanks to Sakura's existence, after nearly a month of studying in the medical class, Sakura's medical skills have begun to show results, and she can also initially use the medical ninjutsu Shosenjutsu. After 2 consecutive days of uninterrupted treatment, and Tiantian and Naruto secretly transferring true energy for conditioning, Xiao Li finally woke up slowly on the 3rd day. Although he still couldn't walk, his energy were much better, so teacher Akai immediately couldn't wait to set off and return to Konoha. Because Xiao Li's injuries were not only to his muscles, but also to bone dislocation caused by excessive force during the battle with Karazidaku. This kind of injury cannot be cured by palm magic, it must undergo precise surgery. So on the afternoon of the 3rd day, Naruto and his team returned to Konoha. After escorting Xiao Li to the hospital together, Naruto reluctantly said goodbye to Tiantian. But Tiantian didn't save him, which made Naruto's heart shatter into pieces and made him feel bad all over. Only Naruto returned to his hut alone. After resting for a while, Naruto used his spiritual sense to explore the circle. After confirming that there was indeed no one else watching around. In an instant, 9 huge white tails filled the entire room, and the moon-white brilliance shone extremely, but Naruto's body still looked like a human being, and nothing had changed except for the tails. How so? And, why do I feel that this tail seems a little weak? Naruto stared at his tail carefully for a long time and muttered to himself. If Kakashi heard what Naruto said, he would probably collapse. Your tail can resist the tailed beast. How can you call it weak? So what does it mean to be strong? In fact, according to Naruto's understanding of the 9 transformations of the Sky Fox, after he reaches the Golden Core stage, he should be able to transform into his true form. But now, no matter how hard he tries, he can still only transform into 9 tails, and even the claws are gone. It doesn't work. This made Naruto very frustrated. What went wrong? And if it cannot be transformed into a complete body, the 9 llamas in Naruto's body cannot be released, because the semi-human body may still not be able to resist the energy of 9 tails. All of this gives Naruto a very headache. Why should I explain it to the 9 llamas? If I had known better, I wouldn't have boasted so much before. Alas. Immediately, Naruto thought hard again and tried various secret methods, but there was still no way to solve the physical problem. Naruto smiled bitterly and slowly closed his eyes. Within the spiritual space. When Naruto saw his appearance through the pool in the sewer, he finally understood the reason for all this. You know, in the past, after Naruto entered the spiritual space, he would change into the appearance of his previous life. But now, Naruto's appearance has undergone earth-shaking changes, even a little strange. If Naruto's facial features are looked at separately, they are still so handsome, but when combined, there is a feeling of nondescript. The sharp outline is paired with pure sky blue pupils, a slightly childish nose hanging on the mature lips, and the golden hair is mixed with a touch of white, as if he is aging prematurely. Also, the originally slender figure of 185 centimeters was shortened to 170 centimeters, which made Naruto want to die. Seeing this, Naruto finally understood that it should be because his soul and body were not fully integrated before, so he could not transform into his true form. And he originally thought that after the Golden Elixir stage, the soul and body would fuse, thereby restoring the 9-tailed Sky Fox's true form, but he seemed to have thought wrong. Although reaching the Golden Elixir stage can indeed fuse the soul and body, the process is obviously not that fast, that's why Naruto looks so awkward at this time. Looking at it this way, it will probably take some time. Alas. I really want to use what Shikamaru often said, but it's really troublesome, Naruto said helplessly. Then Naruto slowly walked in front of the 9 llamas, looking at the 9 llamas who were practicing, hesitating a little, obviously thinking about how to speak better. Yes, you read that right, it's training. In fact, when Naruto started practicing 7 years ago, he gave 9 llamas a fire-based skill called Red Flame Ju, that was more suitable for him. This skill book not only it can restrain the irritable atmosphere all over the body, and it also comes with the method of transformation. Although Julama's body has reached the level of the early stage of Jinden, it is still relatively difficult to practice new techniques. You must know that the most important thing about cultivation techniques is that they require spiritual energy, and this is just Naruto's spiritual space. The spiritual energy is very thin, and we can only rely on Naruto to send part of the spiritual energy to the 9 llamas every day for practice. But the 9 llamas are working hard all the time in order to transform into human form, but the results are somewhat unsatisfactory. Even after practicing hard for 7 years, the 9 llamas can only simply retract their tails and transform their arms, which is completely it looks nondescript, so in normal times, it still maintains its original appearance. Just when Naruto didn't know how to speak, Julama opened his eyes. After seeing Naruto's appearance, he asked in great surprise, "Boss, how come you have become so weird?" When Naruto saw that Julama actually spoke first, he felt half relaxed and immediately explained the cause and effect in tears. It looked as miserable as it could be. Well, that's the general situation, so I might have to trouble you to stay in my body for a few more years. Naruto touched his nose and said slightly apologetically. After listening to Naruto's explanation, Julama slowly lay down on the ground. After a moment, a slightly deep voice slowly came. It doesn't matter, I've been waiting for this for 12 years, and I don't care if I wait a few more years. Even though he said that, Julama still felt very lonely. Anyone who was locked in a dark cage all day would not feel any better. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been suppressed into a lunatic. But Julama also knows Naruto's difficulties. After all, its current life is connected with Naruto. If something happens to Naruto, it won't be able to survive. Sigh. Although you are not very good looking, you are still quite considerate. Don't worry, after you are free, I will help you reshape your body and make you more powerful and domineering. Completely torture all the tailed beasts. Naruto looked into Nine Lama's eyes and said very seriously. Nine Lama was slightly moved when he heard the words. He pondered for a while and said slowly. Then, thank you, boss. Listening to Julama's slightly deep voice, Naruto felt a little guilty again, and then he raised a faint smile and said, oh. By the way, Nine Lama, don't call me boss anymore. Just call me Naruto. It feels more friendly this way, what do you think? Kindness. Okay. Also, since I have reached the golden elixir stage, you no longer need to deliberately restrain chakra, and I have also opened vision sharing with you, so what I can see in the future, you can also see, so what, are you happy? After saying that, Naruto did not wait for Kyuubi's answer. His figure flashed and disappeared in place. Obviously he was embarrassed to face Kyuubi again and return to the outside world. But if Naruto is still here, you will find that the white power of faith on the head of Nine Tails has become thicker and purer. Thank you, Naruto. Boss. At this time, it was already late at night. Naruto lay in bed and couldn't fall asleep for a long time. He couldn't help it. As soon as he closed his eyes now, he would immediately think of his weird appearance in the mental space. Goosebumps rose up. How could he fall asleep? You know, for Naruto, appearance has always been an aspect that he is proud of, and just now he saw himself in such an ugly state, which was a completely devastating blow. Then, after a while, Naruto was still not sleepy, and it was almost dawn. Naruto simply sat up, looked at the quiet night sky, and carefully sorted out his current abilities. First of all, it is teleportation that can only be used twice a day. The range is within 1000 meters. Although the distance is not too far, it is extremely fast. It only takes 0.1 seconds to reach any destination locked by mental power. Shengui unpredictable and hard to guard against, it is a must-have skill for sneak attacks and escapes. It's just that it's used too little. Second, there are the 9 tails that Naruto can use after reaching the golden core, which barely makes up for Naruto's lack of attack methods. Although due to the incomplete fusion of the soul, its attack capability can only be used at about half. But judging from the situation of the last mission, Naruto estimated that the attack power of his tail should be similar to the power of the Rasengan, and the strength of the A ninjutsu, but the defensive power is completely comparable to Orochimaru's Rashomon, and it can resist S super ninjutsu is not a problem at all. Third, the only weapon that can be used is the golden shuriken. Although it is more lethal, the range is too small, the usage is single, and its power is not much different from the strength of Naruto's tail now, so it is estimated that it will rarely be used again in the future. Fourth, is Naruto's mental power. If Naruto's mental power was like a glass of water before, then Naruto's current mental power is as much as a large bucket of water. Of course, this is just a metaphor. However, Naruto's mental power has really made a qualitative leap at this time. After all, building the foundation to the Golden Core stage can be said to be a huge watershed, and the difference between the two realms is completely vast. And after the Golden Elixir stage, Naruto can absorb the surrounding aura all the time and convert it into a small amount of mental power. In other words, the speed of Naruto's mental power recovery is greatly enhanced. Judging from the concentration of spiritual energy in the Naruto world, it can be said that it is endless and continuous. It is estimated that Naruto will never have his mental energy drained out again. The fifth is Naruto's strong true power. Although true power is not very useful to Naruto now, it only costs a little bit when controlling the tail, and then there are some small spells. For example, retrieving objects from the air, flying in the air, setting up some small formations, etc. However, it is worth mentioning that you must not underestimate the ability to retrieve objects from the air. After all, Naruto is currently at the Golden Core stage, and his true energy is unimaginably strong. As long as the enemy's power does not exceed that of a Jonin, or when he was very weak, Naruto could completely treat him as an object and manipulate him at will. Therefore, Sasuke, who is still only at the level of an elite chunin, cannot escape Naruto's control at all. This is definitely tragic news for Sasuke. Fortunately, Sasuke doesn't know about it yet. Finally, there is Naruto's psychic beast, a member of the Nine Tails tribe, but I'll give you a hint here. Please see the exciting content later for details, haha. Explain again, the author knows that tailed beasts are differentiated by chakra, but the author really doesn't like toad psychic beasts, so he made up the nine-tailed tribe, please forgive me. Therefore, based on Naruto's current overall level, it is said that its offensive ability is only slightly worse than that of Kage level, but it far exceeds that of Elite Jonin. After all, Naruto's main attack method now is only his tail. Although he can use illusion or control techniques to make the target 100% hit, if the enemy's defense is strong, Naruto is still helpless. In other words, Naruto can barely be considered a penumbra now. But Tiantian is different. If Tiantian reaches the golden elixir stage, his attack power will definitely be stronger than Naruto. After all, Tiantian was originally a human body in his previous life, so there is no need for fusion. This shows how weak the nine-tailed sky fox is. The attack power is actually not comparable to that of human cultivators, and only the defense ability is barely enough. Fortunately, the nine-tailed sky fox's talent and cultivation speed are so fast that ordinary cultivators cannot compare with him. You know, Tiantian's qualifications can be regarded as top-notch talents among human cultivators, and she is 1 year older than Naruto, but her training speed still cannot keep up with Naruto. Therefore, it once again proves the old saying, God is fair, there will be gains and losses. Despite this, Naruto's strength still cannot be underestimated. You must know that Naruto's body protecting chi is also very strong now. All attacks below a ninjutsu have no effect on Naruto. Presumably, except for Jinchuriki, no Kage level strongman can always cast A and S level ninjutsu to fight, right? Coupled with Naruto's powerful mental interference, it can be said that even if Obito Uchiha comes, there is absolutely nothing he can do against Naruto. After all, Naruto can teleport to avoid Obito's space ninjutsu. Yes, but he can't solve Obito. After Naruto sorted this out, it was already dawn. Looking at the golden sun rising slowly, Naruto once again took advantage of the sun rising in the east and the purple energy coming from the east to practice cross-legging. Time flies by like a flash, and in the blink of an eye, it is already 2 weeks later. Today was the day to go to the hospital with Tiantian to visit Shaoli, but when they arrived at the hospital, they discovered that Shaoli had been discharged from the hospital this morning. Therefore, Naruto, who has nothing to do, prepares to have a romantic date with Tiantian. Hey, is it really okay to go on a date with someone on the day they are discharged from the hospital? Do you need any moral integrity? You know, this is Naruto's first date in 2 lives. Even though he has acted in so many romantic idol dramas before, he can't help but feel a little nervous. After all, they were all acting before, but this time he is really facing his crush, people. However, after a while, Naruto realized that choosing today to go on a date was definitely a wrong decision. For some reason, there were so many people on the street today, which made Naruto almost get separated from Tenten several times. All kinds of random people were running rampant on the streets, including ninjas from all over the world. This made Naruto very puzzled. When did Konoha become so open? What day is it today? It's so lively. Do you remember it every day? Tiantian lowered his head and thought for a while, then said lightly, well, I didn't think of it. Immediately, when Naruto saw the Black Hawks flying continuously in the sky, he finally remembered that the most chaotic Chunin exam in history was finally here. He was really looking forward to it. It was approaching 11 o'clock at noon, and Naruto and Tiantian were preparing to find a quiet place to eat. Although they were already fasting and it didn't matter whether they ate or not, Naruto felt that there was no one who didn't eat when they went out on a date. Could they have been wandering around all the time? Go down. However, there were too many people today, and almost all restaurants were full. As a result, Naruto and Tenten walked around for half an hour, but still couldn't find a suitable place. But soon after, Naruto and Tenten stopped because of a farce. Because, in a not-so-remote alley on the street, a young man in black with colorful face paint was holding a child wearing goggles in one hand. Next to him stood a girl carrying a large fan. Looking at their attire, these three people were obviously Kankuro and Temari, and the one caught by Kankuro was naturally Konohamaru, the grandson of the third Hokage. When Naruto found out about this, he immediately led Tiantian towards them slowly and asked as he walked, Tiantian, do you think we should meet them first and leave a deep impression on them? Looking at Naruto's leisurely expression and elegant pace, he didn't look anxious at all, as if he wasn't worried about Konohamaru at all, and he was still walking leisurely. In fact, as early as the beginning, Naruto discovered that there were at least 5 Anbu lurking around, obviously all of them secretly protecting Konohamaru. Just say it. As the grandson of Lord Hokage, how could he be left unprotected? Isn't this nonsense? Sure enough, everything in the cartoon is a lie drop. In other words, even if they don't take action, Konohamaru will definitely be fine, which is why Naruto is so calm. After hearing what Naruto just said, Tiantian looked at the situation over there again, frowned slightly, and then just said 2 words lightly. Casual. At this time, Konoha village was in an alley on the street. Kankuro was holding Konohamaru with one hand, his face full of displeasure, and he complained arrogantly, "It hurts, kid." The blonde beauty Temari stood aside with her arms folded, obviously looking like she was watching a show, with her eyes closed. She said lazily, "Okay Kankuro, that's about it. Be careful when Gaara comes and you'll get beaten." But even so, Temari didn't mean to stop him at all, she still looked conniving. Originally, Kankuro had had enough fun and was about to put Konohamaru down, but unexpectedly, he suddenly spotted 2 white figures walking slowly towards him. Who are you? Kankuro frowned, staring at Naruto, and for a moment he forgot to put Konohamaru down. There was no way, who made Naruto look too handsome, and it doesn't matter if he looks handsome, but there is such a beautiful woman like Tiantian by his side. This makes Kankuro jealous, and he really wants to scratch Naruto's face with a kunai. You are not qualified to know who I am, but I advise you to put that child down, otherwise you will really get beaten later. Naruto crossed his arms, his tone was obviously indifferent but revealed a different kind of arrogance, which completely suppressed Kankuro's momentum. You fool. Looking for death. When Kankuro saw that Naruto, a pretty boy, dared to be more arrogant than him, his eyes immediately darkened and he said coldly. Temari looked Naruto up and down and thought to herself, yo, he looks so good. Not bad. Are Konoha's genes so good? Even the girls around him are so charming. Then she glanced at her brother again and sighed helplessly. She really had to compare things with others. Comparing people with people is so irritating. Let me go. Ahem. Seeing Naruto's arrogant attitude, Kankuro increased the strength in his hands again, making Konohamaru breathless. He couldn't help but start struggling, and kept kicking Kankuro with his feet. You're so arrogant, you brat. Kankuro said coldly with narrowed eyes, his eyes already showing a hint of murderous intent. Although this is Konoha's territory, he has decided to teach Naruto a lesson. Hey, I don't care, just do whatever you like. Temari saw that the atmosphere on the scene was getting more and more solemn, and there was no possibility of mediation at all, so she could only say helplessly. However, just when Temari finished speaking, boom! An incredible scene happened. Kankuro's body seemed to have received a heavy punch, and he quickly hit the big tree behind him. The aftermath of the shock caused countless leaves to fall one after another. After a while, Kankuro was left disgraced. Cough, cough, what happened just now, huh? Where is the little devil in my hand? Kankuro fell to the ground and was still a little dazed. He had no idea what happened in the last second. And Temari was also completely stunned on the spot, as if she had seen something terrible. She didn't come back to her senses for a long time, because Temari was just there in her eyes, all she saw was Naruto waving at Kankuro casually, and she didn't see any problem at all. Unexpectedly, Kankuro flew out in the next second. At the same time as Kankuro flew out, the Konohamaru in his hand actually flew into Naruto's hand. What kind of terrifying control ability is this? However, Naru had no time to pay attention to Temari. After teaching Kankuro a lesson, he slowly put down Konohamaru, still so elegant and calm, showing his noble nature. I just told you to put down Konohamaru, otherwise why don't you believe it after a while? Naruto said while helping Konohamaru dust himself off. What? It's you little brat. Kankuro stood up slowly, staring at Naruto with an extremely gloomy look. He quickly reached into his ninja bag with his right hand, took out a kunai, and shot it in Naruto's direction at high speed. At the same time, the fingers of his left hand also after moving flexibly a few times, he saw that the kunai that had just flown out suddenly changed its flight trajectory in the air and shot at Naruto again at another very tricky angle. Naruto, on the other hand, did not react after seeing this scene. She didn't hide away, she still kept a faint smile, and didn't even raise her hand. This made Tamari startled, thinking that Naruto would die on the spot. Whoosh. Boom. What? How can it be? What? How can it be? The two voices sounded in unison, with deep shock. At this time, Tamari and Kankuro looked at Naruto as if they were looking at a monster. Because, just now, Naruto unexpectedly changed Kankuro's kunai attack again. The trajectory shot to Kankuro's ear at a faster speed, instantly scratching his hat. This made Kankuro break out in cold sweat. As long as the kunai moved a little further to the left, then one of his one eye was definitely destroyed. Moreover, the kunai was controlled by his chakra line, and Naruto didn't even raise his hand, how could he forcefully turn his kunai? This scene made Kankuro very confused. Could it be that he was also a puppet master? But Naruto didn't know what Kankuro was thinking. He still stood there calmly, maintaining an elegant smile, and said slowly, "Sand. People from Ninja Village, you'd better not be too arrogant in other people's territory, otherwise, you won't know how you died." Call. Hateful. Kankuro was deeply irritated by Naruto's words. With a hot temper, he immediately took off the mummy-like thing he was carrying on his back, stared into Naruto's eyes, and said viciously, "I hate people like you the most." What a pretty boy trying to show off his power of words. Naruto and Tenten both said black lines at the same time. What the hell is a pretty boy? Tamari looked at Kankuro in surprise at this time and said, "Do you think you are going to use that here?" Kankuro smiled coldly and said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, it will be solved in a while." I really don't know where Kankuro got his confidence. Has he forgotten that he was blown away by Naruto not long ago? Ah. Just when Kankuro was about to untie the bandage on the crow's back, a black shuriken was inserted directly into Kankuro's right hand. Let his movements stop immediately. Who? Come out. Humph, you are from Suna Ninja Village, right? You dare to cause trouble on the streets of Konoha. Are you impatient? At this time, a cold voice came to everyone's ears. Naruto held his forehead. Sasuke really loves to be cool. In fact, Naruto had already discovered Sasuke's existence, but it seemed to him that Sasuke had no intention of taking action. Maybe it was because he also discovered the Anbu around him, so he didn't show up for a long time. However, this move will directly lead to blood. Such character. Direct enough. I like. Ha ha. My many days of cultivation are really worth it, Naruto thought lightly. You know, Kankuro and Tamari are both sons and daughters of the 4th Kazekage of Sand Ninja Village, and their status is not much worse than that of Konohamaru. In order to avoid unnecessary disputes, Naruto did not really hurt Kankuro just now. But Sasuke doesn't seem to know this. As the saying goes, he who doesn't know is not guilty. I believe it shouldn't be a big deal, haha. There is another handsome guy here. Konoha's feng shui is really so good. It makes me want to settle in Konoha. When Tamari saw Sasuke's figure, she murmured enviously again, completely unaware that Kankuro had been injured. Sigh. It's really a tragedy for Kankuro to have such an out-of-touch sister. Here comes another kid who is more handsome than me. Each one is more arrogant than the other. Kankuro was really irritated at this time, and with the gaudy oil paint on his face, he was extremely ferocious. Ah. I must kill you. Kankuro, stop, you will embarrass the village. Just when Kankuro ignored it and wanted to directly untie the crow and fight to the death with Sasuke, a cold and emotionless voice sounded behind Sasuke. This cold and ruthless voice directly gave Sasuke a jump. You know, just now, in order to prevent Kankuro's counterattack, Sasuke's whole body was on guard, and he didn't sense the presence of anyone else nearby at all. But this sound now can only mean that this person must have appeared behind him instantly. The speed is absolutely very fast. At the same time, Naruto's blue eyes narrowed slightly, Looking at the thick dark circles of Eli's eyes, he showed a playful smile, and silently thought, it really looks like a red panda. At this time, Gaara was hanging upside down on the tree. Although he did not release murderous intent and his tone was calm, his cold eyes were enough to make the hair stand on end. After Kankuro saw Gaara, his body started to tremble slightly, and cold sweat continued to break out. However, on such a hot day, not only were you dressed in black, but you were also covered up so tightly, how could you not sweat? This guy, when Sasuke glanced sideways at the indifferent Gaara behind him, feeling extremely shocked. Immediately, Sasuke turned over and jumped down from the tree. He ignored the expressions of Kankuro and Temari, stared closely at Gaara's figure, and said in a deep voice, "Hey, that kid over there with the gourd on his back, are you still here? How long do you plan to hang up?" Whoosh! However, just as Sasuke finished speaking, a spiral of wind and sand suddenly rose from the scene, and in the wind and sand, Gaara's figure gradually emerged. Although this way of appearing is quite cool. But Sasuke really wanted to complain loudly. It's okay to blow sand. I'm covered in dust now, that's enough. Looking at Naruto on the side, he saw that a white light curtain had already lit up around him, enveloping Tenten and Konohamaru, but not him. Temari also took out the huge fan and stood in front of her and Kankuro. That is to say, he was the only disgraced person at the scene. This makes Sasuke feel so tired. Not only that, after Gaara landed, he completely ignored Sasuke, but stared into Kankuro's eyes with murderous intent and said, "You have embarrassed the village, you know." Yes, it was them who made the first move. Kankuro is obviously very afraid of Gaara, like a mouse meeting a cat, and even his speech is a bit choppy. There is no way, although Kankuro is Gaara's nominal brother, Gaara, as Shukaku's Jinchuriki, has an extremely bad temper. Coupled with his previous terrifying methods, Gaara's situation in the Sand Ninja village has been greatly reduced. Everyone knows his name, and for a guy like Kankuro who likes to bully the weak and fear the strong, it would be strange if he wasn't afraid. Shut up. If you talk again, I'll kill you. Gaara ignored Kankuro's explanation and still said cold-bloodedly. Yes, Kankuro trembled, lowered his head, and responded softly. After teaching Kankuro a lesson, Gaara slowly turned around and stared at Naruto with his emotionless eyes, completely ignoring Tenten standing next to him. Sorry for causing trouble to you. Although Gaara said apologetic words, his expression was completely perfunctory, even his voice was cold, and he still ignored Sasuke, who was standing aside with a disgraced face. Well, it's okay. Just remember to take good care of your dog next time. Don't let him come out and bite people again, you know. Red Panda. Naruto looked at Gaara's dark panda eyes and couldn't help but tease. What? Is this guy crazy? Temari and Kankuro were trembling with fear at Naruto's teasing words. They were still the first I saw someone dare to talk to Gaara like this. If Gaara gets angry, they will be implicated. But to Temari and Kankuro's surprise, Gaara didn't seem to be angry. Looking at Naruto with his head full of black lines, he thought faintly, what the hell is a red panda? After Kankuro saw that Gaara was not angry, he immediately realized that Naruto had just insulted him as a dog. He couldn't help but was about to have an attack, but was immediately restrained by Temari, who had quick eyes and quick hands. Although Gaara doesn't like Kankuro, Kankuro is from their Sand Ninja village after all. Now he is insulted like this by Naruto. How could the grumpy Gaara not be angry? It's just that Gaara is calmer at this time. I just held back. Because, he just felt a huge pressure from Naruto. The terrifying pressure made Shukaku in his body afraid to move. May I know your name? Gaara looked at Naruto coldly and asked in a deep voice. Although Gaara felt tremendous pressure from Naruto, he was not afraid at all, and even felt extremely excited. That was when he encountered the excitement of a strong man. So Gaara wanted to tear Naruto into pieces at this moment. His eyes began to burst out with bloodthirsty desire, and traces of murderous aura slowly emerged from his body. Before asking someone's name, remember to calm down your murderous aura first, and then state your own name to be more polite, you know. Naruto frowned as he looked at Gaara, who was full of murderous intent, and then continued to increase the mental pressure on Gaara. Sand falls, Gaara, came the cold voice, but the murderous intent was much weaker. After all, Naruto's pressure was not that easy to bear. Well, a child can be taught, Uzumaki Naruto. Seeing that Gaara had already surrendered, Naruto also raised the corners of his mouth slightly and slowly said his name. After Gaara knew Naruto's name, he glanced at Tenten coldly, and did not ask her name. Instead, he turned around, looked at Kankuro and Tamari, and said coldly, "Let's go. You've wasted too much time." Oh. Okay. Seeing Gaara speaking, how dare Kankuro and Tamari not listen, and immediately followed Gaara in dejection. And from the beginning to the end, Gaara never glanced at the person who stayed there. Sasuke on the side looks like he is a transparent person. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Sasuke looked at Gaara who was gradually disappearing with black lines on his head, and just left like that. You haven't asked me my name yet. Asshole. This made Sasuke very depressed and he couldn't help clenching his fists. This was the first time that he had been ignored so completely. It was obviously a blow to him. Very big. And just when Sasuke was dejected, Naruto's annoying voice sounded again. Now, Sasuke, don't be discouraged. After all, the three of us are standing together at this time. You must know that under the rays of light from me and Tiantian, it is difficult for you, a little star, to shine, so no one notices. You are also excusable. Sasuke, if we were to be so direct, would we be able to happily be teammates together? I feel so tired. Naruto's words were like a sharp blade inserted into Sasuke's heart, making Sasuke feel that being with Naruto was the greatest tragedy in his life. That kind of pain is almost as intense as when Uchiha was exterminated. Fortunately, Sakura was still studying in the medical class at this time, so she did not see such a tragic scene for Sasuke. This was a little comfort to Sasuke. Ah, I didn't expect the Chunin exams to be here so soon. It's so exciting, don't you think so? Naruto raised his head and looked at the blue sky with a happy expression. Well, I'm quite excited. Although Tiantian said he was excited, he still had a cold expression. Sasuke black line, it doesn't look like you are excited at all, and where is the excitement? But Naruto also learned from Gaara, completely ignoring Sasuke's expression, turned around, raised a faint smile again, took Tenten's hand, and continued to look for a place to eat. Only the little Konohamaru and Sasuke were left there, staring at each other. It was so funny. Today is the day when the Chunin exams officially begin. It was early summer, the sun was always high above our heads, and even the breeze was warm, constantly blowing everyone's excitement. When Naruto and his party slowly walked into the examination building, they found that the corridor was empty. There was no one like in the original work, where the Konoha ninjas used illusions to turn the second floor into a third floor to confuse the candidates, and there was no one here. What were they arguing about? The corridor was quiet, as if the three of them were the only ones taking the Chunin exam. This made Naruto very puzzled. Could it be that they went wrong? Could it be that Kakashi is so unreliable that he even notified the wrong place of the exam location? If that were the case, Naruto would have to beat him up. However, when they arrived at the door of classroom 301, the three of them found Kakashi leaning against the door and reading a pornographic book. This made Naruto finally feel relieved and gave up the idea of beating him up. Kakashi, who had always been very lazy, immediately put away the little yellow book after discovering Naruto and the others. His dull dead fish eyes were extremely serious and said, "I didn't expect you to come so late. The exam is about to start, but there are a lot of people taking this exam, so some changes have been made to this year's written exam. You should take it seriously." Okay, mother-in-law, isn't it me? Don't worry, don't think that I am as stupid as you. Naruto looked at Kakashi, who was rarely so serious, and couldn't help but say a few words. When Kakashi heard Naruto talking about him like this, he immediately rolled his eyes and said helplessly, "I mean well. Mind you, it's not cute at all. Okay, go in quickly." After that, Kakashi disappeared with a teleportation technique. Gently pushing the door open, the lights suddenly brightened, and the noisy sounds in the classroom suddenly stopped. They were obviously attracted by the sound of the door opening. Hundreds of people in the classroom looked at Naruto and the others. They didn't expect that someone would come so late. How come there are so many people, more than I thought, coming to take the exam? Sakura secretly swallowed her saliva and whispered. Although Sakura has become much stronger after 2 missions, she is still a little nervous when she is suddenly stared at by so many eyes. But Sasuke's mental quality it's much better. He still has a straight face, as if everyone in the classroom owes him 5 million, and he is here to collect debts, and Naruto is even more calm. You know, he was in his previous life. As a superstar, he is not nervous at all when facing the gazes of hundreds of thousands of fans, not to mention that there are only a few hundred people. It is completely trivial. Sakura, don't be nervous. If someone stares at you, let Sasuke stare back. Don't pity him. Naruto's eyes quickly passed over everyone, and then he said calmly to Sakura. Sasuke. He is a really good teammate with good sales skills. But after a brief silence, the quiet classroom immediately became noisy again. Only because Naruto-kun is here. Almost all the girls in Konoha village shouted in unison, not to mention how excited they sounded. In an instant, 7 or 8 girls rushed in front of Naruto and surrounded him tightly. Looking at the speed, they were almost as fast as a Jonin. You know, Naruto has now practiced Tianyuju at the 3rd level of transformation. Not only the strength has been greatly improved, but the natural charm of the 9-tailed sky fox is even more intense. In addition, Naruto is dressed in white and surrounded by a faint aura, showing his elegance and nobility. This makes Naruto look like he is bathed in a faint moon-white light at any time, and he can easily become the focus of everyone. Naruto-kun, do you still remember me? I am. Naruto-kun, you are getting more and more handsome. Naruto-kun, me. Various girls kept surrounding Naruto and chattering excitedly, completely ignoring Sakura and Sasuke who were standing beside him, causing them to be blocked at the door and not allowed to go in. Sakura and Sasuke's black line. Naruto's fans are too. Okay, let us talk first, okay. Naruto maintained a perfect smile and said calmly and gently to all the fans. However, the fans were completely stunned when they saw Naruto's smile and did not hear what Naruto just said. Naruto had no choice but to using true energy to control the bodies of all the fans. They slowly made way for them. When the 3 of them finally came in, Naruto's fans hadn't come to their senses yet and were still in a daze. They were really crazy. But the male ninjas from other countries around him couldn't stand it for a long time. They all looked at Naruto's pretty face with disdain. He's just a bit more handsome. Why are there so many girls surrounding you, and that guy is actually wearing a romantic white kimono? There is nothing like a ninja. It must be a fragile vase. The female ninjas from other countries looked at Naruto with admiration, but they didn't fall in love with Naruto at first sight. After all, other countries were not as peaceful as Konoha. They actually had time to fall in love and chase handsome guys. It was really disappointing. It was an eye-opener for them. Sasuke-kun. You finally came. When Sakura wasn't paying attention, Ino, who had blonde hair, immediately jumped on Sasuke's body and ate Sasuke's tofu unscrupulously. This made Sakura furious. Well, wild pig. You. Give. Down. Come. Sakura tried her best to maintain the image of a lady, stared into Ino's eyes, and shouted word by word. No, he. Ino made a face at Sakura and continued eating Sasuke's tofu without any intention of stopping, which made Sasuke blush a little. Immediately, Ino's teammates, Shikamaru and Choji, also left. Came over. It turns out to be Naruto. I thought you weren't coming. It's so late. Shikamaru's signature lazy voice sounded slowly, and he yawned after finishing speaking, while Choji next to him kept eating potato chips. Perhaps these potato chips are the legendary one-bite delight. You lazy guy is here, how can I not come? Naruto actually likes Shikamaru's lazy character, especially his lack of desire. This temperament makes Naruto feel very comfortable. That's right. How could you say it so directly? It's so rude. It's really troublesome. Shikamaru pouted, looking like he had a headache, but Choji next to him was still eating non-stop. Yo ho. I didn't expect everyone to come, but Naruto-kun, are you sure you're okay? At this time, Ya and the others also walked over slowly with a white puppy on their backs, and their voices were still so arrogant. There was no way, in Ya's impression, Naruto was still the low-ranking guy in school, with no good looks, so Yakai looked at Naruto in surprise and asked. Naruto Black Line. What should I do if I don't want to have my teeth cleaned at all? But the dog on his head is quite cute, white and small, and I really want to ravage it. Akamaru, who was on top of Kiba's head, seemed to be sensing something. He shook his body and immediately called out, "Woof," in a vigilant voice. Hinata and Shino stood behind Kiba, seeming a little embarrassed. After all, Kiba was too direct. Ah, it seems that all 9 newcomers are here this year. I wonder how far we will persist. What do you think, Sasuke? Ya saw that Naruto ignored him and stopped asking for trouble. Then he turned his attention to Sasuke. After all, Sasuke is the #1 freshman this year and has always been Kiba's target. Humph, you are quite relaxed. Sasuke glanced at his teeth sideways and said calmly. At this time, Sakura and Ino were already entangled and inseparable, so Sasuke was able to have some free time. Of course, we have gone through a lot of rigorous training and we will definitely not lose to you. Just wait and see. Ya said arrogantly again, and Akamaru above his head also shouted twice in response. However, the team of Tenten and Neji who were standing not far away did not come to join in the fun, because Tenten preferred to be quiet, and he had just seen Naruto. The enthusiasm of the fans made Tiantian feel a little uncomfortable, so she didn't want to pay attention to Naruto and the others at the moment. Hey, I asked you guys, can you be quiet? Then a slightly gentle voice came slowly. Although it sounded like a lesson, it had no momentum at all. That's right, the owner of this voice is Konoha's #1 spy, Orochimaru's #1 confidant, Yakushi Kabuto. You are the 9 newcomers who have just left school, right? They look very happy and noisy. Really, this is not an outing. Yakushi Kabuto said to them in a senior tone, like a good old man. Ino had the hottest temper, and couldn't stand Kabuto's affectation at all, so he immediately shouted loudly, "Who are you? What qualifications do you have for being such a stinker? Leave us alone. I'm Kabuto Yakushi, but don't worry about this for now, just look around you." Everyone then looked around, scared. There were hundreds of ninjas in the classroom, except for the people from Konoha, who were all staring at the 9 of them with evil eyes. Seeing this scene, Ino immediately covered her mouth and pretended to be a lady. Even Ya, who had always been arrogant, felt a little nervous. Naruto looked around and found that most of the unkind eyes were looking at him, which made Naruto very unhappy, and then he said calmly, "I said you trash, you'd better put it away within 2 seconds. Your eyes, otherwise you will be responsible for the consequences." Wow. Everyone looked like they couldn't believe it. They didn't expect that Naruto would dare to provoke everyone. Even Kiba and Shikamaru behind Naruto opened their mouths wide and immediately moved away from Naruto, as if they didn't recognize him. Only Sasuke and Sakura didn't care at all, looking like they were watching a good show. You're an arrogant boy, do you think being handsome means you're great? That is, who do you think you are? What's wrong with me staring at you? Not only that, I'm also going to beat you. You uncle. After 2 seconds, the classroom immediately became noisy, and everyone looked at Naruto even more unkindly. Suddenly, boom, all the guys who looked at Naruto unkindly were smashed against the classroom wall by an unknown force. There was a loud noise. Fortunately, the wall of this classroom has obviously been reinforced, so it was not smashed through, but judging from the sound, it must have been hit hard. At this time, only Tenten's team, Gaara's team, some genin of Konoha and most of the girls were still in the classroom. After the loud noise, quiet, deathly quiet. Everyone looked at Naruto as if they were looking at a monster. No one discovered what Naruto had done in the last second or what kind of ninjutsu it was. It could actually have such terrifying power. This strange power brought their shock was beyond imagination. They have never seen any large-scale ninjutsu that can automatically select and ignore targets. This is simply impossible. Because, all the people who were smashed against the wall were boys. This perfect control ability can be described as terrifying. Okay, the annoying eyes finally disappeared. At this time, Naruto regained his elegance and calmness again, and smiled faintly at the 9 people. However, Shikamaru and Kiba were obviously still in surprise, and they were still in a daze, and they did not come back to their senses. After a brief silence, the classroom immediately erupted into an unusually violent cheer. Naruto's fans were the first to come to their senses when they saw such a big movement, and immediately swarmed up and surrounded Naruto. Naruto-kun is so awesome. Ah. Naruto-kun, can I be your girlfriend? Naruto-kun, you are great. Naruto-kun, I want to give you a monkey. Because they saw Naruto's powerful and weird strength just now, Naruto's fans were obviously 100 times more enthusiastic than before, scrambling to promote themselves without any reservation at all. But no matter how noisy they are now, I believe no one will bother them. So strong, I really want to kill him. Gaara, who had been paying attention to Naruto, after seeing the scene just now, the blood in his body immediately boiled, his body trembled, and wisps of murderous intent continued to be released, and he could not control his desire to tear Naruto to pieces. If Temari and Kankuro hadn't been holding him down, Gaara might have rushed out long ago. When did Naruto become so strong? Is that really Naruto? Hateful. Ya looked at Naruto, who was surrounded by many fans. His voice was extremely unwilling. In fact, Naruto has always been very strong, but he really doesn't know ninjutsu, so he is the weakest in school. Sasuke explained calmly when he saw everyone looking surprised and grinning from ear to ear. In fact, Sasuke was quite happy at the moment. You know, he had been physically and mentally exhausted from being hit by Naruto. And now, finally, so many people are stimulated by Naruto. It's so cool. Well, it's really troublesome. Does our group still have any hope of passing the exam? Shikamaru originally thought that Naruto's group was the weakest, but he didn't expect that it turned out to be. It's nothing, I just want to know what I am on your business card, isn't that okay? Sasuke stared coldly into Yakushi Kabuto's eyes and asked directly. Aha, of course. Phew. Sasuke's eyes seemed a little strange. Did he discover something? It should be, it's impossible. Immediately, Yakushi Kabuto quickly pulled out 2 cards with the word, Nin, on the back and placed them on the ground, then injected chakra into one of them. After the white card rotated slightly, colorful patterns and words slowly emerged. First of all, let's take a look at you, Sasuke-kun. Needless to say your age, your instructor is Konoha's elite Jonin, Hitaki Kakashi, this year's chief graduate. You are excellent in all aspects. Mission experience, D level 30 times, once for C level, once for A level, so awesome. I have actually carried out an A-level mission as a genin, but because that mission was carried out with members of the Akaiban, and it was a relatively confidential mission, the specific situation is unknown, and the team member was Uzumaki Naruto with Haruno Sakura, that's all. What? Sakura, you have actually performed an A-level mission. You never told me. And how can a genin perform an A-level mission? Ino couldn't help it first and jumped up. She looked at Sakura in surprise and couldn't believe it at all. Humph, there are still many things you don't know. Sakura raised her head, shook her long pink hair, and said proudly. Then, Kabuto Yakushi injected chakra into the second chapter card, and glanced at Naruto secretly again, saying, this is Naruto Uzumaki, age 12, and the instructor is still Kakashi Hitaki. He is the last person in the ninja school. He has never used any ninjutsu. His specific strength is unknown. His mission experience is the same as Sasuke's. However, judging from the situation just now, Naruto may be the most powerful among you. Really, all of us have been deceived by Naruto. He is obviously so strong, but he still pretends to be a loser. It is really unpleasant. Yaya secretly glanced at Naruto, gritted his teeth, and murmured in a low voice, hoping that Naruto didn't hear. However, although Naruto seemed to be appeasing his fans, his attention was always on this side, so Yaya what he just said did not escape Naruto's ears at all, but Naruto didn't care. After all, it was not an unpleasant thing to say. There was no need to be angry, right? Seeing this, Sasuke finally exhaled slowly. Fortunately, his and Naruto's strength was not exposed much, so he didn't have to be afraid even if Yakushi Kabuto had any conspiracy. After all, he didn't understand them. Immediately afterwards, Yakushi Kabuto pulled out a card again and said in a deep voice to everyone, Konoha, Sand, Rain, Kusana, Taki, Oto, these villages all have very outstanding genin taking the exam this year, As for Otogakure village, it is a small village that was established in recent years, so there is not much information, but every village is very powerful, which means that the people who can stand here are all elite genin from all over the world. After that, the pharmacist said. Kabuto took advantage of the fact that no one was paying attention and quickly glanced towards the back of the classroom. What should I do? I seem to have lost confidence in myself. Hinata clenched her fist and put it to her mouth, murmuring softly. Hey, little Hinata, don't be discouraged, brother, I will help you. Just when the atmosphere was extremely solemn, Naruto's voice suddenly came, breaking the tranquility of the scene. At some point, Naruto had returned to their side, and he had obviously successfully appeased all the fans. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Hinata heard that Naruto would help her. Although she was a little embarrassed, she still sincerely thanked her. Hey, Naruto, are you interested in Hinata? Besides, by saying this, aren't you looking down on me and Shino? Do you think we can't protect Hinata? Ya said very unhappy at this time, how could they need Naruto's help? You know, Ya has always been very confident, thinking that with his own strength, he will never lose to anyone. No, I am just a brother to a sister who loves Hinata. Besides, it is just a little effort to help you, so you don't need to thank me too much. Naruto narrowed his eyes and smiled. Shino and Wuga had black hair at the same time. Wire, asshole. This guy is so thick-skinned. Who the hell said I wanted to thank you? Right now. Shua. Three black afterimages suddenly appeared from the corner and rushed towards Yakushi Kabuto at high speed. Sak, who saw the word, death, printed on his clothes, instantly pulled out two kunai and threw them towards Yakushi Kabuto. However, Yakushi Kabuto's reaction was quick enough. He only stepped sideways and dodged easily. Unexpectedly, he was approached by Toss, who looked like a mummy in the next second. He struck out with a fierce horizontal punch. The strange device on his right arm hit Yakushi Kabuto, but even so, Yakushi Kabuto quickly dodged again. Just when everyone thought that the sound ninja's strength was indeed average, Yakushi Kabuto's lens suddenly shattered, and then he knelt on the ground in pain and vomited. Toss tilted his head and looked at Yakushi Kabuto with disdain, and said mockingly, "What?" He said that he is a veteran who has participated for 4 years. It seems that it is nothing special. Remember to write on your card, from Otogakure village, the three of them will definitely become Chunin. At this time, the classroom became quiet again, and everyone was shocked. But they were not surprised by the strength of the sound ninja, but were frightened by their great courage. Have those three people forgotten the terrifying scene that Naruto performed just now? Now they actually have the guts to step forward and provoke them. Do they don't want to live anymore? But Sasuke didn't care about the expressions of others, but stared closely at Toss's arm, thoughtfully, a sonic attack. Although it seems weird, it still doesn't make sense. It can only mean that the pharmacist Kabuto is really weak. Hey, you three, how dare you ignore my existence? Tired of living? Naruto looked at Toss and the other three indifferently and said coldly. Although he knew that Yakushi Kabuto was pretending, the fact that the three sound ninjas dared to be so arrogant in front of him still made him very unhappy. In fact, the three of Toss were extremely uneasy at this time, and they really didn't want to provoke Naruto. However, the slight tilt of Yakushi Kabuto just now was to order them to act according to the plan. If they don't listen to Kabuto-sama's instructions, I believe they will be dead after returning to the village, so they are completely forced to do this. Seeing how courageous you are. I guess you three are tired of living. Naruto looked at the three arrogant people in front of him coldly and said calmly. Boom. Just when Naruto was about to teach them a lesson, the classroom door was suddenly kicked open, and then a rough-looking man slowly walked in step by step. After the man stood still, everyone discovered that there were two extremely hideous scars across his face, which was eerie and terrifying. You guys, if you don't want to lose your qualifications to take the exam, do your best for me. I am the examiner for the first round of this Chunin exam, Morino Ihiki. The murderous voice was heard ringing in everyone's ears, causing a considerable sense of oppression to all the candidates. Ah, it's such a pity. But you are lucky this time. You won't have this opportunity next time. Seeing that Marina Ibiki had already spoken out to stop them, Naruto gave up his plan to teach them a lesson and said calmly. However, although Naruto did not take action, he secretly added a hint of bewitching voice to his words just now, which made Toss and the other two people now so frightened that they could not speak. They stood there and did not dare to move at all, breaking into a cold sweat. All right, you scumbags, please be quiet. First, I want to announce something. That is, this is not the classroom for this written test. Secondly, there will be a lottery session. Come in groups and line up for me. If you don't stand in line, get out of here. Morino Ihiki once again shouted to everyone with that murderous voice. Just when everyone was voluntarily queuing up to draw lots, only Naruto stood there, frowning slightly, with a faint doubt in his eyes. Why is it drawing lots? I remember it wasn't like this in the cartoon. Tiantian was also a little confused at this time. You know, she had watched Naruto in her previous life. Although she had only watched about 80 episodes, she still knew the Chunin exam very well, but this situation seemed different. However, with her cold temperament, she didn't show any unnecessary expressions. She just exchanged a brief look with Naruto, and then obediently followed everyone to queue up to draw lots. As the team continued to advance, it was finally the turn of Naruto's group. The three of them saw a black box in front of Morino Hiki, with 3 wooden sticks that looked exactly the same placed inside. You each draw one, and whatever you draw is what you draw. You cannot exchange. Different numbers correspond to different classrooms, so draw quickly. Morino Ihiki stood aside and urged coldly. After the 3 of them pulled out 3 wooden sticks, Naruto's was 1, Sakura was 2, and Sasuke was 3. At this time, Naruto and the 3 of them looked puzzled. Expression: I have no idea what this number means, but the most confused one is Naruto, because he feels more and more that his butterfly's wings seem to have changed too much. Due to the results of the lottery just now, Naruto is sitting in classroom 1, while Sakura and Sasuke are in classrooms 2 and 3 respectively. Moreover, there were Shikamaru, Gaara, Neji and Hinata staying in the same classroom as Naruto. Only one person from each team stayed in this classroom. Why separate everyone? It's so bad that I can't even see Tiantian anymore. Although he regretted not being in the same classroom as Tenten, what surprised Naruto was that except for Hinata, there were no other girls in this classroom. They were all men. But this also made Naruto breathe a big sigh of relief. There was nothing he could do about it. It was not a good thing for fans to be too enthusiastic. Immediately, when Naruto sat down, he found that there was only a huge black screen in the classroom, which almost occupied half of the wall. There was no invigilator, and no one else came in to announce the exam rules. What's happening here? Naruto muttered. Right now, the door that was open just now was closed instantly, and the loud noise attracted everyone's attention, but no one noticed there was anything wrong with this, including Naruto. After all, closing doors for exams is a very common thing. However, when no one came in after 10 minutes, the candidates gradually realized that something was not right. Hello. In Konoha, I can't even take the exam. What are you doing? Where are the examiners? What's the first test? Quote. As more and more people complained, soon some people began to lose their composure and wanted to use brute force to break open the door and go out to ask about the situation, but they did not expect that the classroom door was so hard. The ninja beat him hard for a long time without any reaction. Hateful. What a broken door. It's actually locked. At this time, everyone was complaining. Only Naruto was still sitting calmly on the chair, as if thinking about something. Is this a delaying tactic? Make everyone feel impetuous before taking the exam. Really clever, Naruto thought calmly. After a while, swoosh, the screen that was dark just now suddenly lit up. Morino Hiki's ferocious face immediately caught the eyes of all the candidates. On such a clear and huge screen, Morino Hiki's 2 terrifying scars were even more eerie and chilling. I saw him first looking around everyone coldly with murderous eyes, and then said in a deep voice, "Now it is announced that the first exam has officially begun. This exam is divided into 2 questions. The first question is in front of you. There is a stack of papers on the table. Everyone takes one and writes their name. Then I will announce the exam rules and now I will start to collect the papers." As soon as he finished speaking, the screen went out and became dark again. Immediately, when the video call ended, bursts of discussion finally erupted in the examination room. Ninja A. Ah. That's great. I just said that the first test is a written test. It scared me to death. Ninja B. Yeah, isn't it just a written test? It's true that we have to wait for so long. Shikamaru. It's really troublesome. When everyone lined up to receive the papers and sat down to write their names, they realized that this year's questions were so simple and they were all multiple choice. This made one of the rain ninjas couldn't help laughing loudly. Ha ha, ha. What's wrong with Konoha this year? The question is so simple, it's just a waste of time. Ha ha ha. Yes, such a simple question, anyone who is not an idiot can type it, ha ha ha. Uh-huh. Just when everyone was overjoyed, the dark screen suddenly lit up. Morino Ibiki had a sullen face, staring closely at the laughing people, and his voice was full of murderous intent. You scum, please be quiet. Have you laughed enough? Humph. I believe that you will soon. I can't laugh anymore. Humph. I believe you won't be able to laugh anymore. Yes, there are only 3 questions in this written test, and the scores from top to bottom are 30 points, 40 points, and 50 points respectively. Etc. In other words, the total score is 120 points. Supportera interrupted. Shut up, you loser, don't you know it's rude to interrupt someone else's speech? I saw Morinai Hiki yelling at the ninja, showing no mercy at all, which once again aggravated the other candidate's sense of oppression. You continue, ha. Although the total score is 120, you are not asked to answer all of them. Listen to me now. Each person can only choose to answer one question at most. Whether the final result is qualified or not will be judged by the team's total score. First, teams with 3 people with a total score of more than 100 points are disqualified. What a broken rule. That's right. Everyone exploded when they heard this, and the classroom was noisy for a while. Baguio Road. You idiots, shut up. Didn't I tell you not to interrupt? Keep listening to me. Except for the team with 100 points, the remaining teams will calculate the average score. Teams with scores lower than the overall average will also be disqualified. Is everything clear? The written test time is 30 minutes. Now, the exam officially begins. Shua. After Morino Ihiki announced the rules, the screen went out again, but this time it did not turn completely black. Instead, 3 rows of white characters appeared. Rule 1. No leaving the classroom. Rule 2. Number. Destroy the classroom. Rule 3. No private fights in the classroom. What? So that's it, no wonder the question is so easy. What should I do? At this time, all the candidates were wailing, but the walls of the classroom had been strengthened for sound insulation, so people in other classrooms did not hear it. Only when Naruto saw this did he realize that this exam was not simple, it was completely it's not like in the original book where you can pass by handing in a blank paper. Because there are only 3 questions on the test paper, 30 points, 40 points, and 50 points. If all 3 of them choose the 40-point or 50-point questions, the total scores will be 120 points and 150 points respectively, and they will all fail. If they all choose 30-point questions, the total score will be 90 points. Although they are qualified, if there are more teams with 100 points, then their 90 points will most likely be lower than the overall average score, so they cannot take the risk. Therefore, the only way to pass the exam 100% is to get 100 points. There are only 2 ways to get 100 points, the first one, 30 points, 30 points, 40 points, the second one, 0 points, 50 points, 50 points. After Naruto clarified these relationships, he slowly raised the corners of his mouth and instantly felt that this exam was not that difficult. Then, Naruto slowly closed his eyes. At the same time, in classroom number 2. The question is so simple. But I dare not write. It really pisses me off. I saw the grumpy Ya completely explode after knowing the rules. At this time, Sakura was sitting silently in her seat in a daze. She was smart and had obviously already understood that this written test was not a test of answering ability at all, but asking them to guess what their teammates would choose was a complete test of their trust and understanding, so she didn't know how to write. After all, how could she know which question Naruto and Sasuke would choose to answer? She was not their partner. The roundworms in there, alas. Ya, please keep your voice down. No matter how loud you scream, they won't be able to hear you. Don't waste your efforts. Sakura said helplessly. What to do? Have you been sitting around waiting for time to end? Ya held his head in his hands and lay on the table, his expression extremely depressed. Even Akamaru gave a comforting, wow. Sakura, why do I think you don't seem very worried? Is there anything you can do? Ino on the side saw that although Sakura didn't write, her expression was much calmer than the others, and she couldn't help but ask. Of course I can't help it, but as long as I can get in touch with my teammates, it's easy to get 100 points. Although I don't know how to explain it, I believe Naruto can do it, hehe. Sakura patiently explained to Ino. Ah. Naruto is so awesome. What should I do? I suddenly have a crush on Naruto again. Sakura held her forehead and said helplessly, Ino, you are so sorry. When you are so nervous, you are still in a crazy mood. Answering the questions is the most important thing now, okay. Can we still have a happy exam together? Yes, but no one in our team seems to have this ability. If I work hard enough, maybe now I can. Ah, what should I do? Are we going to be eliminated in the first exam? Ino said in pain while holding his head. Ino, don't lose heart, there will always be a chance. Sakura only said half of the words, but suddenly she was startled. Sakura, what's wrong with you? Ino also noticed that Sakura's expression was a little strange at this time and said doubtfully. However, after a while, Sakura came back to her senses and said in surprise, Ah. I'm fine, I just suddenly heard Naruto's voice. He asked Sasuke and I to take a 50-point question, but he didn't answer it, which was exactly 100 points. Ah, so fast. I didn't expect that Naruto-kun is not only amazingly strong, but also so smart. As Ino talked, she started to become infatuated again. Sakura's black line. Do you want to be so exaggerated? Forget it, I'll answer the question first and I'll worry about you later. In classroom 3. After a calm analysis, Shino finally discovered the key to this exam, but he did not move and still sat calmly in his seat. But because of his high collar, no one noticed that a black bug slowly crawled out of his face. The tiny bug flew around the classroom and flew to Shino's side again, integrated into his body. Then I saw Shino slowly lowering his head. Black sunglasses blocked his eyes and his expression could not be seen clearly, but it could still be seen through his frown. He should be in a very solemn mood at this time. No, this classroom is completely enclosed. Although there are ventilation holes, they are too small and even bugs can't fly out. This is troublesome. I wonder if Kiba and Hinata can do anything. Immediately, Shino raised his head and looked around again, huh? Sasuke. Dot has actually finished writing. It's so powerful. I don't know what method he used. But Shino and Sasuke are not very familiar with each other, and Sasuke's whole body is filled with a cold aura of keeping strangers away, so Shino is too embarrassed to go up and ask. Choji, are you familiar with Sasuke? Otherwise, why don't you go and ask him what he can do? Zeno found that the only person he knew in the classroom was Choji who was sitting next to him, so he asked him. There was no way. Although Shino seemed aloof, he still wanted to pass this exam very much. Shino, there's nothing you can do. And I don't know Sasuke very well. How about we ask together? After Choji finished eating the last piece of potato chips, he stood up and said decisively to Shino. His expression seemed as serious as when he was on the battlefield. Shino's black line. You are exaggerating. Is Sasuke that scary? Kindness. Shino and Choji. Is there a problem? Sasuke had just finished the 50-point question. When he looked up, he saw Shino and Choji standing in front of his desk, with serious expressions on their faces. Unexpectedly, Sasuke actually remembered their names. What a surprise, this is the common sentiment of Denki and Shino at this time. Well, we see that you have finished writing, so we want to ask you if there is anything you can do about it. Denki saw that Shino still looked cold, so he had to ask him. Actually, I don't have any good ideas. Naruto did all this, but only Naruto can contact us unilaterally, and we can't contact Naruto, so, Sasuke looked into Choji's eyes and said calmly. Sasuke pondered for a while, looked at the disappointed expressions of the two people, and said again, but Shino, you shouldn't worry too much. After all, you and Hinata are in the same group, and Naruto should be able to help you, but Choji, you can only think of a solution yourself. Ah. No way. Shino, you are too lucky. After listening to Sasuke's explanation, Dingqi's eyes immediately burst into flames of jealousy. Shino, still aloof. At this time, in classroom No. 2. Sakura had already finished answering the 50-point question. Seeing that Ino had returned to her normal state, she slowly moved closer and whispered, Ino, let me tell you a secret. According to my observation, sitting with us the beautiful woman in white at the back is Tiantian, she should be Naruto's girlfriend. Maybe she can do anything. How about we go together and ask her to help you? What? Ino exclaimed. But after she finished shouting, she realized that everyone was looking at her. She was so frightened that she immediately covered her mouth. What? Naruto actually already has a girlfriend. Ino seemed unable to believe it, and confirmed to Sakura in a low voice again. No wonder Ino was so surprised, after all, the news was so. It was simply shocking news. You know, Naruto is in the village, but everything the dream lover in the hearts of thousands of girls. If this news gets out, I don't know how many people will be upset and commit suicide. Oh. No. Why do you want me to know? I'm a person who can't keep secrets. Ino held her head and thought with annoyance on her face. Hey, are you focusing too much on it? I mean she might be able to help you, but I didn't expect you to be so gossipy. Can you be more serious? I'm still taking exams now. Sakura saw that Ino was already in a daze, so she could only hold her forehead helplessly and whispered. Oh. Okay. That's right too. Ino scratched his head in embarrassment. Just when Ino was about to turn around and ask Tenten for help. Which question do you want to ask? I can help you convey it. A sudden sound instantly reached Ino's ears. It was cold and clear, and Ino was startled. In fact, Tiantian sat behind the two of them and heard everything they just talked about clearly. When Sakura said that she was Naruto's girlfriend, she actually felt a little happy in her heart, so she agreed easily. Help, but she seemed a little too sudden. And Ino was very surprised at this time. She didn't expect that Tiantian looked so beautiful and had such a cold voice. It turned out that Naruto liked this kind of food. The taste is so strong. Fortunately, Tiantian didn't. She knew what Ino was thinking at this moment, otherwise she would never have helped her. Well, first of all, thank you for helping me, and then, please help me tell Choji and Shikamaru to ask them to do the 30-point questions, and I will do the 40-point questions, please. Ino clasped his hands together and begged Tenten. After a moment. Okay. You can start answering the questions. Tiantian remained expressionless and said calmly. At the same time, Shikamaru, who was in the same classroom as Naruto, watched the time passing by, glanced at Naruto again, sighed softly, stood up lazily, and then moved toward Naruto's side. Direction. But, for some reason, Shikamaru stopped halfway. Then, he slowly returned to his seat and started answering questions. In fact, Shikamaru had just figured out a way to pass this exam, but this method had certain risks, so Shikamaru wanted to ask Naruto for help and shock others. But just when Shikamaru was walking halfway, he suddenly heard a cold voice, telling him that Ino would answer 40-point questions, and asked him and Choji to answer 30-point questions. This surprised Shikamaru because I didn't know Tiantian at this time, so I didn't recognize whose voice it was. But Shikamaru thought about it for a while and felt that no one would be so boring and deliberately use this weird ninjutsu to amuse him, right? Maybe. Ino found help from other people, it's worth trusting. That's why Shikamaru walked halfway and then went back. As for the solution Shikamaru came up with, please read the original work, the second Chunin examination, and the solution proposed by Neji. I won't explain it in detail here. At this time, in classroom No. 1. Except for Neji, Gaara, and Shikamaru, who had relatively calm expressions, most of the others were scratching their heads and sweating, obviously still not knowing which question to choose. Neji and Tenten were in the same group. Of course Tenten, who was also a cultivator, knew the simple spell of teleportation from thousands of miles away, so Naruto didn't find it strange at all. Gaara's control of sand is superb. It is completely easy to control the sand in the other two classrooms, so it is expected that he can contact Temari and Kankuro. But what happened to Shikamaru? As far as I know, his shadow imitation technique shouldn't be able to penetrate the classroom. How would he know which question to answer? So curious, Naruto was very surprised to see that Shikamaru had already written the answer, and thought in confusion. Although he was a little curious, Naruto didn't pay too much attention. After all, Shikamaru was not a beauty, so there was nothing to pay attention to. In addition, Naruto had already seen Hinata still thinking hard, and then slowly walked to Hinata, completely ignoring the eyes of others, and directly showed a perfect smile to Hinata, saying, "Little Hinata. Sister Tien, I didn't expect to need my help so soon. Tell me which question you want to write, and I can help you send a message to Kiba and Shino." Really, really. Suddenly hearing Naruto's voice made Hinata jump, who was worried. However, Naruto's words surprised her, so her voice was trembling. It was not caused by shyness. You know, the last time I heard Naruto after people teased her about fainting when looking at a handsome guy, Hinata had been working hard for a long time, so when she saw Naruto's face again, she was already very calm. After all, people will always grow. Of course, Hinata doesn't believe me. But after Naruto heard Hinata's trembling voice, he thought Hinata was shy again, so he joked. "No, I trust Naruto-kun. Then Naruto-kun, help me tell Shino and Kiba that I will write 40-point questions and let them all write 30-point questions." At this time, Hinata had recovered and looked into Naruto's eyes and whispered. "Okay, no problem." After that, Naruto slowly closed his eyes. After a moment. "Okay, now you can start writing, both Shino and Kiba already know." Naruto said with a faint smile. "Thank you Naruto-kun." Hinata immediately stood up, bowed deeply to Naruto, then sat down and began to answer questions. Naruto looked at Hinata who was so polite, smiled faintly again, and returned to his seat. He closed his eyes quietly and calmly waited for the end of the exam. The people around him were very jealous when they saw Naruto helping Hinata like no one else. You know, they were almost anxious at this time. He was sweating, and Naruto was so relaxed. It was completely shocking. However, because they had seen Naruto's terrifying strength before, no one dared to come forward and disturb Naruto and Hinata. Of course, Neji also looked at it. At this scene, he frowned lightly and said nothing. Although he didn't like Miss Hinata very much, it was just the hatred of the branch family towards the clan, and it would not be directed at Hinata alone, so this I didn't think there was anything wrong when I saw someone helping Hinata. What's more, it was Naruto who helped. You know, after the last mission, the person Neji didn't want to offend the most was Naruto. In classroom 2, Ya watched the time passing by, very anxious and proud as he didn't want to be eliminated in the first exam. But he really had no choice at this time. Seeing that there was not much time left, he simply closed his eyes and gave up on himself to prepare to write the 30-point question. After all, there is always a glimmer of hope, right? In addition, only the lowest 30 points on the test paper are worth trying, and the other 2 questions are too risky. But, the moment he was about to write, he suddenly heard Naruto's voice. This gave him a brief surprise, but what followed was endless annoyance. Hateful. Unexpectedly, I really needed Naruto's help in the end. Although I was unhappy, I could only listen to Naruto at this time. Ya looked very unwilling and gritted his teeth. He is really a guy who doesn't appreciate the kindness of others. At this time, there is not much time left for the exam, and some candidates still have anxious expressions. However, as the time decreased by the minute, most people still chose the 30-point question like Ya did. What if their group was lucky? After all, 30 points is already the minimum. Half an hour came quickly. When the bell for the end of the exam slowly rang, the screen in front of Naruto suddenly flashed. Morino Hiki's annoying big face looked at them again, and her voice was still cold. It is now announced, the first question of the written test has ended. All candidates are asked to turn over the test papers. Please listen to the second question. What? Thanks for watching.